My name is David, 37 years old, residing in Chicago, and I've been married to Sarah for 12 years. Our relationship wasn't flawless, yet I believed it was strong and reliable. We shared daily habits, little joys, and those rare bursts of laughter that brought back memories of why I first fell in love with her. As a project coordinator, I handled our money matters carefully and aimed to provide the steady home she often mentioned appreciating. That's what I figured was most important: dependability, trustworthiness, and the calm routine we had created together. The devastating birthday surprise. Sarah always turned heads with her natural beauty and effortless appeal. Strangers would spot her long before me, but it never bothered me. I truly felt that real love wasn't about stealing the spotlight. It was about mutual respect, being there for each other, and cherishing private times. Lately, though, those special times had started fading away. I saw it in how she ignored me over breakfast while scrolling on her phone, in smiles that stayed surface level without warming her eyes, and in talks that lacked any real closeness. First, I let it slide. She blamed it on job pressure or exhaustion, and I trusted her words. I kept trusting even as I sensed a growing distance, a silent divide widening day by day. My birthday dawned like any ordinary morning. I rose early, brewed her favorite coffee, carefully wrapped the thoughtful present I'd chosen, and forced myself to act as if all was well. I promised myself I'd stay positive no matter what, since keeping things smooth had always maintained harmony in our home. She completely overlooked the gift sitting on the kitchen counter. When she finally came out, she looked as stunning as ever in her casual grace. Yet something icy lingered in her gaze, a chill I hadn't noticed in ages. She glanced my way and let out a laugh, not one filled with happiness, but the type that mocks someone cruelly. "Happy birthday, David," she said casually, sliding an envelope across the table toward me. I grabbed it instinctively, confused at first. My name was scrawled on the front. It felt unusually heavy, far more weighty than any simple greeting card should. My fingers trembled as I tore it open, revealing divorce papers, perfectly prepared, official, and completely irreversible. She laughed once more, the sharp sound cutting through the air like shattering shards. I wasn't sure if rage or shock hit me harder. I stared at her, watching her lips twist in clear enjoyment, with no trace of regret on her face. "Is this some kind of prank?" I managed to ask, fighting to keep my tone even. She cocked her head, her grin growing wider. "Happy birthday," she repeated, then brushed past me into the living room, leaving me rooted in place, the envelope scorching my palm. Her sister's chilling murmur. That's when I caught it, a low, intentional murmur. I spun toward the doorway. There stood Lisa, Sarah's sister, strikingly beautiful and perfectly calm, propped against the frame like she'd been anticipating this exact scene. Her stare locked on mine, blending sympathy with a mysterious, intense spark I couldn't quite place. "Sign it," she murmured in a secretive tone, then slipped back into the dimness of the adjoining room. I collapsed onto the sofa, the documents shaking in my grip. Pressure built in my chest as my thoughts raced back through our years together. Every shared chuckle, every tender embrace, every instance I convinced myself her feelings mirrored mine. Had it all been merely convenient for her? A source of entertainment? Had I been so unaware for an entire decade plus too? The idea twisted my gut. I attempted to reach out. "Sarah, let's discuss this. Please, not on my birthday." The heart-wrenching collapse. She didn't glance back. In her mind, she had already moved forward, chuckling lightly like someone who knew the ending before it began. It dawned on me then. This wasn't truly about me, our union, or the home we'd constructed. It was purely for her entertainment, her sense of control, and her total disregard for my feelings. A storm of fury and grief swirled inside me. I'd always believed true love demanded tolerance, compassion, and second chances. But now a sharp awareness cut through. This went beyond simple oversight or misunderstanding. This was intentional, a harsh, planned act, almost like a performance designed to wipe away our history. Lisa's words echoed in my head. "Sign it." I understood she wasn't merely urging me. She was challenging me, watching how I'd handle the outrageous insult and sheer nerve of it all. I refused to join their twisted script. Carefully, I creased the papers and set them on the coffee table. Unsigned, untorn, simply there. I met Sarah's eyes not with begs or outbursts, but with a calm acceptance that I'd stopped chasing affection where none remained. The space seemed to shrink, the atmosphere thicken. Still, an unfamiliar sensation stirred within. Not ease, not happiness, not revenge, but a clear sense of personal limits I'd never enforced before. The surprising turn of events. They assumed they held all the cards, believing they could shame me and transform my special day into a spectacle of harshness. But true control had always been mine. I rose gradually and approached the window. The Chicago skyline spread out endlessly ahead, uncaring and expansive. I inhaled deeply, feeling the crisp, fresh breeze. In that instant, no card, no legal document, no siblings' hushed prompt could strip away what mattered most. I remained true to myself. I had preserved my self-respect, and my journey was nowhere near over. I didn't rush out right away. I allowed the quiet to linger, letting their giggles and murmurs dissolve into nothingness. My fists relaxed. The expected explosion of anger gave way to something deeper, more piercing, yet surprisingly liberating. A dozen years of concessions, endurance, and silent perseverance had culminated here. For the first time, I saw I didn't need to battle for what was already lost. Sarah reappeared, eyeing the sofa. "David," she said with phony worry tinting her words. I faced her slowly, gazing without fury or desperation, just observing the woman I cherished deeply, now transformed into an unfamiliar figure whose amusement had turned weapon-like. "I notice you're present," I replied steadily, my voice remarkably composed. "Along with Lisa's suggestion." I nodded toward the documents. Her smirk wavered briefly. She'd anticipated chaos, protests, perhaps sobs. What she received was poise, a serene resistance to her drama. She started to respond, but I raised a palm. "Stop. There's no point in talking anymore, not today, not ever. You've made your decision. I won't be part of this ridicule." Sarah paused, perhaps sensing her grip loosening for the first time. Lisa, lingering near the entrance, flashed a subtle, smug grin. She believed she knew me inside out. She was wrong. They'd mistaken my quiet nature for frailty, thinking my patience equated to vulnerability. But really, I just ceased handing over control of my world to them. I retrieved the envelope, placed it on the kitchen surface, and regarded it calmly, still unsigned, intact. Then I grabbed my coat, slung my bag over my shoulder, and hesitated at the exit. Before stepping out, I turned once more. "Happy birthday to me," I murmured gently, mostly to myself. The words echoed in the quiet home. A declaration of reclaiming my power, free of resentment. Out in the street, the breeze felt refreshing and biting. Chicago buzzed around me, vast and detached. The day's burden settled, yet underneath surged an unexpected thrill. For 12 years, I'd measured my value through another's eyes. Sarah had been my everything. Now at last I recognized it clearly. Our shared life wasn't a prison testing my limits or pride. I wandered aimlessly, allowing thoughts to unravel. Fond recollections of joy and intimacy floated by, poignant yet no longer agonizing. I recalled the reasons for my deep love, and I finally permitted myself to accept that genuine love never requires enduring brutality, that it shouldn't demand submission through pain, and that it can endure even as it fades. Time slipped away. The city glowed under evening lights, and I noted I hadn't reached out to anyone. No calls, no messages. No need to explain yet. I simply had to embrace my choices. Each stride felt purposeful, a step toward regaining my path and decisions. The papers waited back home. A token, not a chain. The following day, I went back to our place with a clear strategy. No reactions driven by emotion. No getting caught in fury or showmanship. I'd safeguard my finances, my schedule, my honor. I scheduled appointments, contacted attorneys, recorded details meticulously. Every action was thoughtful, exact, and serene. No outbursts, no arguments, no sorrow, just focus and command. Through it all, I discovered an odd elegance. The steady affirmation of self amid turmoil. The careful undoing of another's bid to control my tale. As weeks went by, Sarah attempted sneaky tactics. Subtle prods, sly remarks aimed at stirring remorse. I answered only with quiet, with necessary steps, with a gentle cue that her decision dictated the terms, and I was merely following suit. Her once biting chuckles softened to silence around me. Lisa never uttered another word. Never murmured again. The influence they imagined holding returned to me through one simple act: declining to engage in their scheme. By month's end, a deep insight emerged. Walking away didn't demand yelling, clashes, or grudges. It called for vision, dignity, and restraint. I'd been cast as the silent observer of my own heartbreak. In that role, I'd uncovered resilience. I'd learned that true self-worth springs from inside. Not from their okay, not from their fun at my expense. One quiet afternoon, Sarah packed up and departed for good. No big scene, no theatrics, just keys left behind, a suitcase, and the fading trace of her former laughter. I observed her leave, experiencing only a profound, tranquil contentment. I hadn't truly lost her. I'd shed the false belief that her approval defined my existence. Alone in the apartment, gazing over the cityscape, I grasped what I'd overlooked for so long: true liberty. Not just escaping, but the freedom to fully be me, to value myself independently, to rescue my future from another's harsh games. The envelope remained untouched on the counter, a symbol that birthdays can signal fresh starts, not merely closures. For the first time in ages, a genuine, subtle smile crossed my face. I knew the reality Sarah and Lisa could never strip away. I was complete. I was still David. And my chapter was just beginning.